Today on The Riff, Drew and Martz sit down to talk about the last H, helpful. I think I'm pretty helpful. At least my voice is. We hope today is, well, helpful. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to another episode of The Riff, and I'm here.
The Riff.
With Drew.
And John.
Uncle Drew. Uncle Drew is what you get called a lot, right?
It's happened.
No one's ever called me Uncle John. I am an uncle.
You are an uncle.
I am.
Someone will start calling you at some point.
I don't think that they call me that though.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm gonna find that out the next time I talk to my nieces and nephews.
How many you got?
One. And
Okay.
one.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, pretty good.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I will say this: if you are not listening and you are watching, well, hopefully you're watching and listening. I should have said that differently. Okay. But hopefully you're watching and listening, or you're just listening. But if you are watching, you might notice that my teeth look really white today.
Super white.
I just went to the dentist. Actually,
Right
make
away.
your teeth whiter. But, well, we come in, I say, hey, I went to the dentist this morning. And then you tell me a fun fact. I'm like, we got to start recording.
Yeah. I've never had a cavity in my entire life.
That's a huge flex.
It's a big flex.
I would when you meet people at parties, I'd be
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm Drew. Fun fact, I've never had a cavity. Do you share that as your fun fact?
No, but I should.
I think that, what do you share as your fun fact?
I don't know. I don't know if I have any fun fact. Used to work in radio, met a lot of random famous
Whoa.
people, bands and stuff back in the early 2000s.
Were you a DJ?
Yeah, I was.
Whoa. What was your DJ name?
Just Drew.
I feel like a missed opportunity
Yeah,
for
it
Uncle
is a missed
Drew.
opportunity.
Or
Yeah.
for DJ Drew.
DJ Drew.
DJ Drew makes
You
sense.
could call that if you want to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to have it was like low. I was not a big deal. I was like the kid that was like running stuff in between. I was driving the vans around, setting up remotes and all that. But then they let me have we worked Sunday night. So Sunday night I had like a new music show.
I was going to say, what's the worst slot time? Is it Sunday night?
Sunday nights. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, this is like no one listens to FM radio now anyway, period. No offense to my FM radio friends that are probably listening. But back in the day, like FM radio was cool. Yeah, so Sunday nights is like the lowest listen time. And so I was like the young kid. So there was a new music show and then a local music show. So, which is kind of cool because you meet all these local bands and I'm the guy who could help get you on the radio, you know? So like back in the day when like if you're a local band and like, you know, they're playing your single on The Edge, like
All the time.
104.7 The Edge.
We were...
Albuquerque's new rock alternative.
I managed an artist for a little bit.
Did you?
Yeah, and we would always go Midwest Family Radio, 92.9.
There you go.
I'm sorry I'm shouting out these radio stations. There's probably so many that listen to us that are like, why didn't you call out mine?
Yeah.
Randy Cruz. Thank you. All right. So today we are finishing our 5 H's.
5 H's.
So far we've gotten humble,
Humble.
hopeful,
Hopeful.
hustle,
Hustle.
hungry.
Hungry.
We did the Holmans.
The Holmans.
They were on the podcast,
Yeah.
but that's not one of the 5 H's.
Yeah.
And then now we're doing helpful.
Helpful.
Walk me through.
Helpful.
Helpful. We have a saying with helpful that says it's never not your job. I don't know if you like that phrase next to helpful. Do you?
I do.
You like that one? Okay.
Yeah.
Walk me through that. Why do you like it?
I think because, you know, if for helpful, again, when we talk about team, there's kind of 2 layers. The first layer I think of is like our volunteer team and then our staff. And this is like, if you're going to be on staff, like these are things you have to have. And so for helpful, never not your job means like no one's too good for any specific task, you know, and I think the smaller the team is, which we really do have a smaller team for the size of the organization. Everyone's got to pitch in. Like if there's a piece of trash on the floor, like it's never not someone's job to do that. Now, if it is your job description, knock it out, be great at what you do. But there's so many, especially at a church, or if you're a part of a smaller business or a smaller team, everyone has to take out the trash. Everyone has to stack chairs. Everyone has to, you know, and so no one's ever too good for any one thing. And I think that's or too important or too busy. And so you want people to own their role, own their space and take it seriously. But there's so many times when we just have to have people pull together and it's just something that's got to get done, you know? And so that helpful thing like kills ego. So there's no egos allowed. And then it's like everyone like roll up your sleeves and help out when you can. And so I think there's like you know, my previous life, obviously, I mean, if you know the story, I worked at T-Mobile for 20 years. So giant corporation thing, right? Where there's big budgets and, you know, you get paid to have a lot of stuff done. I went from that straight into a tech startup where there was 4 employees, including the CEO.
So you had a great title and you did everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I've learned like the smaller the organization, the less titles actually mean anything.
Yeah.
Because like, and like no knock on my like banker and insurance friends, but like literally everyone who works at a bank or an insurance place is the VP of something, and it's just like, we need big titles so the people answer our phone calls, no offense to everyone I just offended with that.
Can I be VP of pastors?
Yes.
Would that be okay? Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Vice President.
All right, great.
Vice President Martz.
Yes.
Take the trash out. You know what I mean? But yeah, at that startup, there was 4 or 5 of us, and I had like a chief customer. I had like a COO type title, but literally like our first like week, I had to buy my desk online, and the budget was super small for it. Like literally, we had an office with like 4 desks in it. They're like, hey, order a desk, and of course, I buy like the cheap one, and it's like the particle board thing that shows up in 3 boxes. So my first day as the chief operating officer, I was like manually assembling furniture with like an Allen wrench.
A little tiny one.
It's the worst. So like so anyway, it was all about saving dollars, and we weren't profitable yet. So every dollar that came in had to matter. And so the CEO's taking the trash out. We're not going to pay a cleaning company to come in and clean the bathrooms there. We're going to do that because we had to scrap for every dollar. So I think like joining from the giant corporate thing into like a startup, like the energy is totally different. But I think like the helpful thing, the smaller the organization, the more the helpful thing has to happen, because you can't have a bunch of specialists that only do 1 or 2 things. You really have to you need specializations, but you have to have a lot of generalists that can cover a lot of bases to make stuff happen. So that's what I think about when it's helpful. That's an attitude. How do you define it? What do you think?
Well, I think any organization that needs to move the needle forward, you're right. There are unlimited roles we could pay for. Can you take out the truck? Can you stack the chairs? Can you coordinate an event? Can you? And there's this thing about being like an ideal team player.
Yes.
It's like this is a huge part of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I found myself before, and maybe you found yourself in a job and you've said, that's not my job, right? Or maybe you said, I don't get paid enough for that. Or maybe, those types of phrases usually don't slip out of someone who's like fulfilled and excited about their role.
Right.
Usually those phrases slip out of someone that's like, I'm done. I'm ready to move on. I've quietly quit.
Yeah.
But like when you are in on something, when you're excited about something, maybe when you have a new venture in something and your energy is more, usually you'd come into any type of opportunity like that and you're like, yeah, however I can help. Right. And there is nothing cooler than when like Drew or Justin or somebody can pop in your office and be like, hey, how can I help? And you're like, actually, I should be asking how I can help you. But that's awesome that you'd come in and ask that.
Yeah.
Because like, 1, I don't have to act like I have everything figured out. And 2, I think you're genuinely asking that. But 3, it just puts on the table of like, hey, that's what we do. If someone's carrying in boxes from their car, it's like, hey, can I help?
Right.
Like, yeah, I'm not looking for things to do. Yes, I have things to do. At the same time, like, I know there are going to be opportunities that I need to ask for help, and it's helpful to also play a role in that as well. So.
Yeah. I think too, like that's the attitude we hope we develop in North Pointers as well. Is like for, people who call North Point home, and so many of our, people who are part of North Point are serving and volunteering and helping. And it's like, that's what they're doing. They're helping. How can I help? How can I help? And for especially in a nonprofit or any kind of nonprofit space, including churches, the more help you can get from the community of people who are just willing to step up and help do it, the more efficiently we run as an organization. Like if I think about a church just through like the dollars and cents of everything, you mentioned it, we could pay for everything. I could go hire a bass player every Sunday.
Yeah.
I could go hire someone, for kids. I could go hire, we could, but that would be a very expensive church to be a part of. And it would require a massive financial commitment from the members of the church.
Yeah. And you would question some of the commitment.
Right.
Right. Because it's like, well, there isn't really any, I wouldn't say allegiance. That's not what we're looking for. We're not looking for loyalty. We're looking for people, though, that are owning this mission.
Totally.
And if it's like, hey, I'm doing it for $1, not actually because I believe in a mission that's impacting my heart and the hearts of those around me, you get a different product, too.
Yeah. It's a hired hand mentality. Yeah. I'm here to do a job and value exchange. And the second it's not worth it to me, I'm out.
It's a transaction.
Yes. Yeah. And so I think like great churches, are built on a level of commitment and like the idea of people who are all in on mission and want to do a part to be a part of the community. And I think, you move from the crowd into the community when there's some level of like contribution on anything, whether that's taking out a trash bag or teaching a kid's class or contributing financially, like whatever the thing is. When we create actual community, that's when I think that's the whole nother level of commitment that unlocks. And that's where it means something to be a part of it. If everyone's just there for a paycheck and as soon as the paycheck stops, then I'm out, then you're not really your heart's not in it. Like where your treasure is, your heart is. And, that's like that idea of like, are you wholeheartedly in on what you're in on? And I think when you are, the helpfulness thing comes out. We put a word on it, but we're hoping that you kind of have that attitude on the way in. And we kind of are going to demonstrate it, And so I think that's the thing is like one of my first I started in December and like the Christmas party was like the next week. And after the Christmas party, like it was you and Justin, Glenn, and like the senior most leaders on the team that were the last ones out cleaning up, like cleaning up the food, making sure everything's put away.
We're
like
just big party people.
Huge party people. Yeah. Rager. That's when I learned you could juggle.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's when I learned you could juggle.
Not well. Not well. I sheepishly raised my hand on juggling because I can kind of juggle.
We needed you though. I think there were only 5 people that were juggling. We needed 5 people to juggle.
Yeah.
So it worked out.
Did you win the juggling competition? You were top 2.
I never kiss and tell. So
it was you and Nathan.
Yeah, I won
from Dream Center. Yeah. Martz is a great juggler. If you didn't know that, he has like, he can go like, he's like running around like under the leg, all this stuff.
If you need someone with a bunch of useless skills, actually growing up, I was in something called circus skills. So in 4th and 5th grade, I would come early to school. My parents would take me. I think they just wanted me to come early to school. Now that I'm really piecing this together right now, I think they just wanted something that got me to school early.
They weren't really invested in your circus skills?
I don't think that they were. Maybe they were. I need to talk to them. But ultimately, circus skills, we started, you learn how to juggle. You start with like these little scarves, and then you move to balls, and then you move to rings, and then you move to clubs, and then you can move to like,
flaming things.
You can get parents sign off to do knives and to do, we didn't have fire.
Where did you live?
This is at Blue Springs, Missouri.
Blue Springs, Missouri. There's circus school.
Well, there was. I don't know.
Before school.
John Nallen Elementary. There you go. So what I would do is I would come in early and do that. Well, then it's like, hey, if you got really good at juggling, they'd be like, hey, do you want to try the unicycle? So I'd start riding the unicycle. And then if you get really good at the unicycle, they're like, do you want to try the 6-foot unicycle? This is where, obviously it's 6 foot off the ground.
And how old were you?
4th and 5th grade. So what I would do, and this is, if this says anything about how cool I was in
Riff,
elementary.
my mind is blown right now. This is an actual thing. I've never heard of this.
Sometimes during my recess time, you could practice riding the unicycle if you wanted to. Is that not like, how did I not get more made fun of? You have to wear a helmet. You have to like wear like knee pads.
I'm blown away right now. Yeah, this is a thing.
So they had a bunch of unicycles. They must have gotten some sort of grant
from like the Circus Workers Federation.
So then we do assemblies. And honestly though, I think that our school is just weird because everyone's like, that's the coolest thing. If you could ride like
that is cool.
Everyone sits in the middle. And like people would walk around and juggle to like open up the assembly, and then like people would ride the unicycles, and I got to ride the 6-foot unicycle. Yeah.
This is the craziest story I've ever heard.
Still can. It's like riding a bike.
4th
unicycle.
and 5th grade riding a 6-foot unicycle.
Yeah. And you don't lose those skills. You just keep them forever.
When was the last time you hopped on a unicycle?
It's been a long time. But I have total faith that I could just go
hop right. Yeah, it's like riding a bike.
For some reason in my head, I'm like, yeah, it just makes sense.
2 wheels, 1 wheel, same thing. It's riding a bike.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, probably.
This is crazy. I've never heard of a school having a circus club.
Yeah.
That's pretty legit though. I just got this picture of Martz.
Okay, I don't remember.
Juggling and riding a unicycle in 5th grade. Real crowd pleaser.
Guys, what were we talking about? Helpful.
Being helpful.
We're talking about being helpful, but I don't know how that had to do with any of that.
I don't know, man. So I'm shocked. I've never heard of such a thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I'm more impressed now.
Oh, thank you. I don't know.
I was talking about cleaning up at the Christmas party, and that's when I learned to juggle.
That's it.
He learned to juggle in circus club, 4th and 5th grade.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. Helpful.
Was
that helpful knowledge to know?
Man, it was helpful, man.
I will say, okay, to get us back on topic, I will say this, because you kind of mentioned this, like, it is cool to see someone that, if you do exhibit these 5 H's, you hop on the team. It is cool to have someone that wasn't on the team before they were volunteering. So they were volunteering, and it ended up hopping in, turning into a role where they ended up hopping on the team. There is something cool about that of like, hey, I attended here well before I worked here. It's like, I believed in this mission before there was ever a monetary value assigned to that. And whether that's at North Point or whether in your story, you held out a bunch of different churches. Even in the last church, I mean, you were on the speaking team, and that wasn't your full-time job.
No.
Right? So it's cool to say, hey, I believe in this mission so much that I'll be helpful in any kind of role, even a role that you'd be like, I feel like that's not a volunteer role. And to be like, no, I'll give my time. I'll give my, week to write this message while I'm doing other work to say, I believe in this mission this much.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like, what do you the church is, the New Testament talks about like every joint supplies and like its bricks being built together into like the royal priesthood and that whole thing. That means that everyone who's showing up at North Point has something to offer. Mm-hmm. Everyone has something to offer. Mm-hmm. And it might not fit in our volunteer buckets of, kids or connections teams or, some of those things.
Doesn't have to. We're not trying to create cookie cutter Christians.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, what is the thing that God's gifted you to do? And like, what do you know how to do that the average person doesn't? Maybe it's riding unicycles. Maybe it's maybe it's how to change oil on a car. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? Like even just things like you have a skill set that somebody needs. And so the church is less about like our mentality at North Point is less about, hey, rally everyone together so we can make Sunday happen and make Sunday happen better. Like, yes, we have standards and we want Sunday to be great, but we actually want you to come together to like serve the community. And like when we talk about arrows out, like we actually care about what you do Monday through Friday. Like that's something I'm like, even when we talk about this subject, we're talking about context of like working at North Point, but these are principles that apply no matter where you work and no matter what assignment God has put you into, whether you're, working at a radio station or whether you're a school teacher or whatever. Like these are principles that if you apply them will create a culture that people want to be a part of, And so I think for us, like, the 5 H's, like we'll talk about it. But even like put it on the walls and things where it's like, hey, these are things that should mark North Pointers, period. Working here, it's a requirement. You got to have them. But I mean, if you show up where you work, at your school and you're humble, hopeful, helpful, like if you're all these things, like you're going to make a difference. Like you're going to create a curiosity about you and your life. These are like kingdom principles like at play. So I don't know, I think for us, like we're passionate about like growing, like one of my things is like, I don't want to grow a big church. I want to grow big people. And if people become like, if they really step into what God's called them to be and what God's called them to do in this community, like we make a difference through what happens Monday through Friday in and around the Ozarks, not just what happens on Sundays. Mm-hmm. And so our messaging will, a lot of churches will say, hey, the peak of your discipleship journey is like, hey, showing up more consistently, giving more, and then completing this 4-week grow track, and that's a model used by most churches across the country right now. Like that's a standard templated thing that, kind of grew a lot over the last 10 years. And it's like, hey, take this track, you take the spiritual gifting test, and then we take all that information about you and tell you which area on Sunday you should serve.
How you could best serve.
Yeah. How you can best make Sunday happen, and I think there's a lot of value in that. Like I've done and taught that in other churches, and I think there's a lot of value there. But what happens is over time, when people go through that journey and then the church's message to them is that your highest and best use of your giftings is holding the door on Sunday. We need people to hold the door on Sunday. However,
well, we don't. We got door stoppers. We have opportunities. Yeah. Like we don't actually need that. But there's more attached to that. Yeah. Of like, do we need someone to be a helpful smile? Do we need somebody to be a conversation with someone who needs it? Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. That is needed.
Yeah. And noticing someone who's by themselves and looks like this is their first time. Like we have people in our lobbies that are like, that's their job, is like, look for the person who looks like they don't know where to take their kids.
Make someone feel known and needed. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I think like we do want those things and those are helpful. I also think like, my heart would always be that, hey, as being part of North Point, what we're doing is equipping you to go win at life outside of this place. Like hopefully you're becoming a better employee, becoming a better leader, becoming a better mom, dad, friend, neighbor, all of those things because of really the investment that's happening through the ministry of North Point. It's like, man, I'm growing as a human. I'm growing as a person. I'm becoming what God's made me to be. And I think God's made everyone to be influential in their spheres. Like where's God put you? Go be an influencer there, and ideally your growth, your spiritual growth is creating you to be a more consistent, helpful, hopeful, person,
And you nailed it, right? It's not just at North Point. It's not just even in a work setting. I want to be a helpful spouse in my marriage. Yeah. I want to be a helpful parent to my kids. Like those are just core attributes that if you can, transcend them through life, not even a work environment, but from a work environment, those 5 categories, if you exemplify them, that's rare. That's not super
rare.
normal. And I love your thought, because it's not just like, hey, how can you best serve the church? I'm like, that's not, but at the same time, there are a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
And sometimes the church is an avenue in which you can serve others outside the church. Like when I think about the Dream Center,
totally.
I'm like, so many things that Nathan is doing, and different entrepreneurs are coming in and teaching kids at the Dream Center with our Dream Center Academy how to do different things, how to develop certain skills to be able to life skills, entrepreneurship skills, money skills. It's awesome. Like you send a couple people that way to say, hey, you've built a skill in an area. Can you share that? And they're like, I'd love to. Actually, I'd love to be helpful. And the church might be an avenue to be able to do that. And also, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the thing, is like for someone who's, whatever the thing is you're good at doing, I'm thinking about just North Pointers I've hung out with recently. One owns and operates a couple restaurants in town, and his thing is hospitality, and he treats his work like a ministry. He's like, hey, he was talking to me about all the things he's doing to help his employees out. He's got a bunch of young high school, early college age kids working at his fast food restaurants, but he's talking about all the ways that he's like helping them figure out life. Even things like, hey, set up a 401k. And they're like, what's that? Why would I do that?
But I don't want to run.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, but even that, and he was like helping somebody get out of debt and figure out certain things in life. And so that's his job, but like it's his ministry, right? I mean, that's like, he's helpful, hopeful, he's doing the things to he's doing those things where he works. And he also contributes and helps us out with the Dream Center. So anytime we've got events, he's like, let me know how we can help out, and so he's taking the thing God's given him and making a difference with it. In some ways, in the church, the organization of the church. In other ways, he's turning his workplace into a church. And his employees look at him like a leader, not just for their workplace, but for life, because he cares about them, And so other folks, there's just a lot of like skill sets you have. Like I think all work is noble. All work is spiritual. Everything that God's put in front of you matters. And if you be the right person and be the right version of who God's made you to be in those spaces, you'd be surprised the difference that you can make, So,
okay, let's make it practical. Say that I work in an office and I can't stand my job, or I drive a truck and I'm like, man, the people I work with aren't very helpful. And in return, it's made me not very helpful. I've been that person that's like, that's not my job. I've been that person that's like, I don't get paid enough for this.
Yeah.
What's a way today, when I hop off this podcast, to say, how can I own this? How can I start to take a step in this?
Yeah. I think, you can always change one of two things. You can change your situation, which would be quit your job and go to another one. Or you can change your perspective. And so for a lot of people, some people, changing your situation is a good call, it's a right call. Maybe it's just the right time for you to move on and get a fresh start somewhere else. But what I find a lot of times in life is people have changed their situation several times, and then they run into the same mountain a year later at the next place. And they're like, well, I hate this job too. And I think when I say change your perspective, it's like God is really like for me, it's like going to God and saying, hey, how do you see this job? Why am I here? Because if all you're there to do is collect a check and, punch a clock, then yeah, you're not going to find any fulfillment. But if you choose to believe like I'm here for a reason and God's hand must be on my life and he opened up this door. I always tell people, assume that you are where you are because God put you there, and that changes your perspective. God, why did you put me driving this truck? Who am I going to interact with today? And then almost making a side mission of like, hey, like I'm going to have like a kingdom of God, like Jesus mission on my job to say, hey, how I treat my customers, I want to be a reflection of Jesus. Like I want to like have one customer today that I make a difference for. Like I want to put one smile on one person's face. And you can weave that side mission into what you're doing every single day and find purpose in the work. And so for, me, it's like, I wasn't necessarily inherently passionate about jobs I've had over the years. I was always passionate about people. I always tried to love God and love people, and my vehicle was an avenue to do that. Now, I'll say too that the greatest way you can make a difference in your workplace is do a good job. Oh. If you're not if you're not working hard and you're not being a great teammate and the practical things in the workplace, no one cares what you have to say about much of anything else, including your faith. So the first place that you find joy is like doing work in a way that you love it until you actually do. And then finding that mission from God, like, why am I here? And maybe I think it's in the walking that out that maybe you'll find a new thing. Maybe you will find a new situation and a new job. What I know is that people who are sitting in a job that they hate, that refuse to change their perspective or their situation, become very miserable people. Mm-hmm. And so you can't love your life and have a job you hate. You just can't. And so you've got to find a way to not hate your job, or you will go crazy. And so whether that's changing the job itself, but most of the time I found, like, really, if I just take a different attitude and perspective here, it does change things. And so that's what I think. I think that's kind of, might sound too pie in the sky, but I would start with prayer, like, God, why am I here? And God, how do you see my boss? God, how do you see my coworkers?
It's helpful questions.
Because then it's like when you start to have a different perspective on them as well, because you're changing your perspective on your coworkers and your boss or your customers and saying, okay, I'm here, when I worked, I started as a rep at T-Mobile when I was 20 years old, just talking to customers all night long. It's not a fun job. There's nothing about that that's enjoyable. You're tied to a desk. No one calls to say thank you. Everyone calls because there's a problem. You get chewed out every day. So, but finding one customer a day, like, create like a tally board, like, hey, what's one customer that I can change their day through how I treat them on this call? And then that's like your side mission.
Yeah.
I want to find one coworker that I can be a positive influence on. And maybe it's just buying him a snack from the vending machine, or doing one thing to be a heart turner for people around you, where, like, yeah, you punched the clock and did your customers and, like, did the whole thing that you're supposed to do. But your side hustle within the job was, hey, I'm going to actually be an influence for a customer or an employee or my boss. I'm going to actually figure out how I can serve this boss that I hate. Mm-hmm. I can't stand working for this person, but, like, God put me here. So I always go back to Joseph and Potiphar's house. Like, everything he just did with excellence. That he was cleaning Potiphar's toilets. Potiphar was, like, didn't even speak the same language as him. Different country. He was Joseph would have been like he was sold into slavery into another country. So he's in a country, he doesn't speak the language. He doesn't know the culture. No one knows him, knows anything about him. And he's just working. And it says over time that Potiphar gave him more and more responsibility. That does not happen with someone who's sitting around talking about how much they hate being at Potiphar's house. And so oftentimes the key out of Potiphar's house is a commitment to Potiphar's house in a new and fresh way that causes you to get up and go grind and hustle again.
There's a story I keep thinking about of a young couple that moved to a new house, and next door there was an old lady who lived there, and the young couple was looking out their window, and they saw the old lady that was cleaning her clothes, and she hung up her clothes on the line, and the wife was like, I don't know if she noticed this, but, like, the clothes don't even look that clean. Like, I don't know if she knows how to wash her clothes. The guy was like, okay, you gonna say something? She's like, no, it's not my job. So day after day, though, she'd see this happening, and she'd be like, this girl does not know how to wash her clothes. Like, it's just every time she looked out the window, she's like, those clothes look dirty. And so one day, the wife woke up, after a few weeks, and looked out the windows, like, she finally learned how to clean her clothes. I don't know what happened, but those things look clean. This is great. Told her husband, and her husband's like, no, actually, I think she's been doing it the same. I just cleaned our window that we were looking out.
Hey,
and when I think about our lives, sometimes start with perspective, right? Start with perspective of what does it look like to clean the lens in which you're seeing today through?
Totally.
What does it look like to clean the lens in which you're seeing people through? I mean, which is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And how would God see this person is completely different than how John sees this person today.
Right.
And having that kind of mindset, right? Seeing things the way God sees things, which is actually, right, a huge prayer of walking in faith with Christ, is saying, God, how do I not align with my ways, but I align with your ways? How do I not align with my thinking, but I align with your thinking? I think it starts by asking questions like that. God, how do you see this person? And can you change my heart of stone into a heart of flesh?
Right.
Where soften my heart so I'm able to see people the way that you want me to see them. Break my heart for what breaks yours.
Yeah.
Those are important things that when you start your day that way, I just believe God's going to bring some different people or the same people in your life that you now see in a different way.
Yeah. And that's where you stand out. And wherever you go to work or school today, you are a different person, and God will help you do those things. He'll change your perspective. He will change your heart. And you might be the one person in the workplace who comes in to do a really hard job with a really great attitude. And then people are like, hey, what's different about you? You know?
You say, I was in circus skills in 4th and 5th grade.
Yeah, I can hop on a 6-foot unicycle, juggle knives.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you happen to see Martz this weekend in and around North Point, bring 3 equally weighted sized objects.
If you want to book me for
Kids parties,
wedding, funeral, bar mitzvah, I mean, I'll anything. Now I'm not cheap though. You know, when you're good at something, you don't do it for free.
You don't do it for free.
Riff Raff, go be helpful, go be hopeful, go be humble, hustle,
hungry.
All right, we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Riff. We'll have a brand new episode every week, wherever you find podcasts.